everyone, welcome to a new episode of Heartpanorama. This is a special episode and I have my friend Feri here. You might know her as Ferisae or Miraculous Mexico. So welcome Feri to this podcast.
Hello, thank you for inviting me over.
You are very welcome and thank you for joining. And today we have a special topic, and that is Miraculous Season 3. Since the season has ended a few weeks ago, we thought we'd do a quick roundup and a little review and just talk about the season in general. While listening to this podcast, please remember that any mentions of brands, products, or services are only included for discussion purposes and are not paid or sponsored in any way. That applies to Miraculous, but also to other brands or products that we might mention. Also, please be aware that we're discussing details of Miraculous Season 3 and might also include aspects of Season 1 and Season 2. So if you aren't familiar with the series and haven't caught up with Season 3 yet, there might be some spoilers for you, which is why we recommend you to finish watching the season before listening to this podcast. So let's start with our general impression of Season 3. So there was a lot of things happening in this season, and honestly...
Yep.
It's been so long since the season started that I can't really remember what was actually part of Season 2 and already part of Season 3. But what is your general impression of the season?
Yeah, I think, as you said, it was full of so many different things. Like, so many topics were breached. On one side, we have the shipping... of the season, which is having to watch Marinette, have a few blunders and getting to feel like she's losing Adrian to Kagami and her developing feelings for Luca in a way, but denying them and stuff. So I think it's been a very long, hard road for Marinette. We felt a little bit bad for her.
Yeah.
So on the shipping side, I think it's been very bittersweet. I mean, I love it because I love looking at it, so I don't mind it. But I think it's been very bittersweet on how you see Marinette go from being a little bit more confident in trying to ask Adrian out to completely giving up on him by the end.
That's true.
So on one side, I like looking at that development of the character because she still likes him, but she's also respectful enough that she lets go of him and respects that Kagami also likes him and they have a chance together. So I thought that was very mature of her. On the other side, we have the whole, I think possibly one of my favorite plot lines in Season 3 is the Guardian plot line. The fact that Marinette is now the new Guardian and she will have to do it alone because Master Fu cannot help her anymore. So I think having her grab that responsibility and working with it, I think it's going to be very interesting how she does it in the future. And the other topic that I also liked a lot is the introduction of Felix, because I think he opens up another can of worms.
Yeah, that's true. Because
we know that Gabriel and Felix do not get along. I mean, we can tell that Gabriel does not like the Graham Devanelli family. So it will be interesting to see how far their rivalry. Yeah, Emily, she clashes with Gabriel a lot, but she's not outright, being antagonistic. But then you have Felix, the opposite, and he actually tries to be antagonistic. We don't know why, but I think it will be interesting to finally have a character that will pose a threat of some kind to Gabriel, because he's been untouchable for most no one knows his hawkmouth except Natalie, but she supports him, so he has no rivalry outside of Lady Puck and Cat Noir, not in his personal life. I mean,
that's
so
true.
It will be interesting to have a character that is going to be a threat to him in his real life, as Gabriel and not as Hawk. So yeah, I think Season 3 really put all the cards over the table we're going. And I think it was a nice change of pace from Season 2 and Season 1, because Season 1 was just the introduction to the characters, getting to know them, getting to know the formula. It was not very plot heavy. Like it had plot lines, but not super heavy.
Yeah.
It was mostly character based. And then you have season 2, which was the introduction of more characters, in the introduction of new power modes like the water transformation, the ice transformation, and like getting to know a little bit more about. And now that we have all these characters and all these information about the Miraculous, now we have season 3, which is more plot heavy and introduces new characters that move the plot, and a lot of storylines that also shift that direction of the show to another place. So yeah, I think season 3 was a mishmash of stuff. It could, maybe some of them were a little bit hard to swallow for some people. Maybe some of them were not, and because that's the essence of change. So some people are going to be faster at accepting it, and some are going to be slower. And
I think you addressed a lot of interesting aspects of the season, and I totally agree on all of them. Especially, let me address the separate points.
Okay.
The first one where you said the development of the relationship between Marinette and Adrian changed quite a bit in this season, and I think it's very interesting because at the end of season 2, most of us thought, oh, maybe this is going somewhere, and maybe there's really a chance for them to get together in season 3. And now, after season 3 has ended, we're more in the mood of thinking, maybe not so much. Maybe now it's like in a completely different direction. And I think the way they prepared this, or the way they developed this relationship between Marinette and Luca and Adrian and Kagami is actually quite well done, because I am still okay with them like being with other people, even though I'm an extremely hard Adrianette shipper, but I'm still okay with them being with other people. So it must be really well done, I think.
Yeah, and one of the things I liked the most about season 3 was also the exploration of friendships.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked, from one side, how they actually knocked down some pegs from Adrian and Marinette's relationship, and they were addressing the fact that they're friends. You see Adrian being unsure about how Marinette feels about him, because he's very new to friendship, so he doesn't know if she likes him or not. And Marinette keeps getting nervous, so she gives him the wrong idea every time, so he thinks she hates him. So I think what I love the most is that the friendship part of Adrian and Marinette. Like before, in season 1 and season 2, it was more like, oh, well, Marinette is the best of my best friends. It was more like formal.
Mm-hmm.
But now in season 3, you actually feel like Marinette and Adrian can be like really close friends and trust. And you can see that at the very ending, like when they get the ice cream and they're talking with each other, and Marinette is not flailing, she's not stuttering, she's not doing anything. They're just having a very friendly talk. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a huge step forward for Marinette, because, yeah, although the love aspect fell down because of, the whole Kagami thing, I think my personal opinion is that for love to blossom properly, you have to first get to know the person in their bad situations and their good situations. Like, you have to be unbiased. So I think it's a great part of her development to, step back and be like, okay, you know what? It's fine. We're just friends. So I think that was a very good part of her relationship development, that they are now looking at each other like friends. The fact that Adrian is happy for her about being with Luca, because he thinks that she likes Luca because of the whole how she goes quiet in Desperada when Kagami says, "Oh, you came to see your boyfriend," and she stays quiet. So that's why Adrian has the idea that Marinette likes Luca, and he's very happy for her. He cares about her feelings a lot. He cares about her friendship a lot. Like, he cares. He just hasn't seen the love side of it because he's still unsure, because Marinette so he doesn't know how to interpret her reactions. And for him, she doesn't like him because she's told him before, like, no, I don't like you that way, because she's dumb. Well, she gets really nervous. So Adrian thinks there's absolutely nothing about her that like he doesn't think she likes him because she has told him no, I don't, in other situations. So he completely brushed it off. And he's happy when he thinks that she likes Luca. So he cares about her, and I think that's super sweet about the character, like the relationship between them, like being more friendship based. And I think this was like an important part, so that whenever Adronet actually happens, if it happens, it's more natural, and they have already gone through all these hurdles, and they have developed and get to know each other, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for them.
Yeah, I agree as well, because when you compare it, especially to season 1, it was mostly infatuation between the characters. Like on Marinette's side, she was totally infatuated with Adrian, and Adrian was in turn infatuated with Ladybug. And I think that has, when you look at season 3, that has completely changed, or not, maybe not completely, but pretty much, because now, for example, Adrian is also open for being with Kagami, for example, and not fixating on Ladybug so much, I think.
I think, yeah, I agree. But also, I think part of the reason that he kind of lets go of her by a little bit is because, this is my personal perception, okay? Like at the end, like he sees like Ladybug go through all this stuff with Master Fu, and she becomes the new guardian. And I think part of him is like, you know what? Because, you know, when Kagami is almost close to kissing him, he pushes back and he's like, you know what? I'm not ready. Like, he's kind of giving up on Ladybug because she has told him no repeatedly. But part of him still wants to be with her. So he's not ready to be with Kagami and stuff. But he's open to the idea because part of him accepts that probably nothing's going to happen between him and Ladybug because of the identities and blah, blah, blah. But also, in the last 2 episodes, I felt that Cat Noir realized that, you know what, Ladybug has her hands full. Like, not only does she like someone else, she also has a lot of responsibility now. So maybe I need to back off. It will be better if I backed off. So he backs off and he gives Kagami a chance because he honestly does like her. Like, he's attracted to her. He thinks she's pretty, that she's talented, that they share a lot in common. I mean, there's a reason for him to like Kagami. There's a lot of connection there. So part of his heart maybe still loves Ladybug, but another part of him is willing to try with another girl that he also likes. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I really like that about season 3. So the second aspect you addressed was, remind me.
The guardian.
Oh yeah,
the guardian aspect.
Exactly. So I think that's one major part of season 3, I think, because I don't remember having so much background information in season 2 on the Guardians, and it's really interesting what the writers came up with, actually, because it's mind-blowing. I wouldn't have expected that from a family show, and I'm really looking forward to what we get to know in the coming seasons about all this, because the information we got in season 3 was already quite intriguing, and especially when you get to know, maybe we can already start talking about the episodes we think are key episodes plot-wise, which includes Feast, for example, where we got to know how Fu lost the Miraculous and what he went through before he got where we know him, like before he got to Paris. And that's really interesting that what is happening was based on his account, basically. And also that he can actually transfer his guardian, like his responsibilities as a guardian to another person. That was a really interesting aspect, I think.
Yeah, I think that was pretty surprising for everyone. Like, okay, like people like at the beginning just thought that, okay, well, he just passes the, and that's the end of it. The fact that the old guardian needs to be able to protect the identity of all the heroes was like pretty heavy, was pretty surprising because, well, Marinette lost her master. So she's completely alone and she's going to have to figure everything out on her own. And I think season 3 did a very good job in telling us more about Master Fu. Like, we found out that he had a girlfriend, or, well, sort of girlfriend. that they keep looking at each other, but they could not be together because he was paranoid that, he was going to get caught and blah, blah, blah. We also got to find out that he used to have a family and he had to say goodbye to them, and he, well, technically, I guess, never saw them again because after he caused the fall of the temple, like he had to run away from the Senti monster. So I think we can gather that maybe he did not see his family again. And I think that's a little very, very sad because, I mean, he grew up this super paranoid old man that keeps like running away from everything because he cannot get over the guilt of what he did, which was over something so stupid, which is, he was hungry and he wanted to eat and he created a Senti monster irresponsibly, so he lost control of it. So, like, interesting to see how Marinette fares now that she's the guardian because, like, he's super paranoid and he hides everything and blah. And he's super old school, and then you have Marinette, which is like super modern and stuff. So like the box changed to reflect her. So I think it will be very interesting to see how she handles it differently from Fu, or if she's going to be the same way. I think that was one of the biggest, most important plot points, and the fact that the whole order is back. So how is this going to affect her? How is this going to affect Fu? Like, is it going to affect him? Will they be able to find him?
Yeah, I wonder if he did. I wonder if we ever see him again because he departed with Marianne together in the train, and then I wonder if we actually get to see him again because he lost his memories, and where or what can he like help Marinette with anymore?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he can actually help Marinette with much anymore.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to see if they bring, like, why would they bring him back? Like, what else does the character of Fu have to the story? I think there are ways, other reasons, but we'll have to wait till see that's the case. But I think the most interesting part is the fact that they've been stuck in Senti Monster for almost 170. So, like, it's interesting to think about a bunch of old monks trying to get acquainted with technology, and now there's cars and now there's planes. So
it's gonna be interesting.
Like, I'm curious to see if someone is actually going to try to find like the box and be like, what the hell is with all this? Like, what are these flying things on the sky and the moving horse carriages, something like that. So it will be interesting to see the contrast between some old monks with old ways and Marinette being all modern.
I really hope they will get back to that because we just saw that temple or whatever it's called. We saw that
the temple
reappear, and I mean, something must happen with that.
Yeah.
They can't just leave it there.
Yeah, no, something has to happen. Like, there's a reason they focused a whole episode on bringing back the whole Guardian Temple. And, I mean, there's another interesting topic, which is when it came back, like, all of the rich people in the show were watching it. Like, we saw, what's the name? Tomoe Tsurugi, like, listening to the news, like, just the camera shots were very interesting. Like, they focus on Kagami's mom, they focus on Gabriel, and they focus on obviously Gabriel and Gabriel knows about it. But what's the deal with Kagami's mom and Audrey? Do they know too? Are they related to the Miraculous? Do they know about them? Because I'm like, okay, Kagami, I can kind of understand it because, Tibet is in China, which is in Asia, which is close to Japan, so maybe they heard about something. I mean, I can see it, like, being reasonable. But what does Audrey have to do with anything? But if you think about it, when Chloe showed her Miraculous and her Kwame, like, Audrey was not surprised on the least. Like, she was like, oh, she's such a show-off. And she just walked off. So I'm like, did she know about her Miraculous? Or was that just her indifference, like, her character's indifference to everything but herself? Like, I'm very curious to know if Audrey knows something or it was just, a whatever shot that means nothing. But I like to think that it meant something and that hopefully we will find out more about the rich family's story and how they're related to Miraculous plotline. I mean, we know Gabriel is, Kagami is, but Audrey, what's up with Audrey? So
it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I've always thought she's like more of a side character, but if she really has to do something with the Miraculous or anything with the Guardians, then she actually upgrades to a main character, whether it's a villain or a hero, we don't know yet, but this might actually be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, and even if nothing happens, like, you can, whatever, really. I'm more interested to see how Gabriel and Emily are related to it. Like, that's probably the most interesting part.
Like, where did they actually where did they actually get the Miraculouses from? And I mean, they said something about finding them in Tibet, but
yeah, like,
how did it actually happen?
How far did they go? Yeah, like, why were they there to begin with?
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, I'm looking forward to finding out what Gabriel and Emily were doing. Like, I want to find out if Emily was not the best person either, because I know that Ethan loves her, and he says that she's the nicest person around and the only one that makes him laugh. But, like, something mysterious about Emily. Like, does she have a motive? Because we know that her sister is kind of manipulative. Like, Emily's lovely and stuff, but she's not afraid to step back in Gabriel's face and dish out the facts. So I'm wondering how different Emily is from Emily.
Yeah.
Like, why were
they're like, twins
part
after
of
all.
me feels part of me feels that she was the one of the idea, because she's the one that's in a coma, so she had to up somehow. So like, what did she do? What kind of person was she? That's probably one of the biggest mysteries in the show. Like, what was Adrian's mom like? Because she could have just like Adrian and Gabriel, but completely different with other people. You know, she's an actress.
Yeah, that's true.
Do we know if she was legitimate with Adrian, or was she just at his benefit? You know, that kind of question keeps me up at night. No, I'm kidding. But it's one of the most interesting points of the plot line so far.
Yeah. Another key episode that we picked from the whole season was Felix, and I think that actually fits the topic we're actually talking about in the moment, and where you address that we don't know if Emily is actually good or bad, or what ulterior motive she has in mind. I wonder if she has other plans in mind, because we see her like wanting to have the rings back, and at the end she says she wanted to get them for Felix, but I wonder what meaning they actually have. Do they have any powers maybe, or are they related to the whole Miraculous universe? That's kind of intriguing in this episode, because why would the rings be so important?
Yeah, exactly. That's why Felix is so interesting as an episode. Like, I understand that maybe some people don't like Felix as character, and I mean, that's super understandable. He's hard to swallow, like, because he's being mean to Adrian, and you know Adrian is pure, and so I mean, I understand why some people may not like him as a character, because you know he's kind of very cold and stuff like that. But I think he's one of the characters that has the most to give to the plotline, because like his sole presence causes Gabriel to get stressed out. Like, just seeing his nephew is like, ugh, you know. So the fact that there's someone that is capable of making Gabriel be like, ugh, is very interesting in itself, because we know that he doesn't like Emily's sister. That's very, very clear. It's been left very clear from Felix. But the fact that he also has it against his nephew for some reason. I mean, are we sure that the only reason he dislikes Felix is because of the prank they played when they were kids, that they exchanged places because they look so much alike? Or is there something else that Gabriel doesn't like? And we know that Felix's father died recently. But I'm interested to know what the relationship between Gabriel and Mr. Graham de Vanilli was. Like, if there was some kind of rivalry or what, you know. Like, I'm interested to know more about the family dynamic between them two, because Emily's very like, you know, the rings are ours. Like, it makes it feel like there's some kind of rivalry between the families.
Yeah.
Or some kind of indifference or something. But Emily was like the bridge between both families. But yeah, I think Felix has a lot to give us plot-wise because it introduces a very interesting character, which, it's Felix and his mom. It introduces the mystery of the rings. Like, okay, is it just a family heirloom? Are they just regular rings that have a personal significance to Emily, and that's why she wanted them? And like, okay, she said, oh, I wanted them for you. But why does Felix want them? Like, we don't know why Felix wanted the ring so badly. Because he smiles at the end because he got away with it. So did he really want them for his mom, or did he want them for his mom because he knew she was going to give it to him?
That's true. That's a good
think
thought.
I think Felix is a very complex character because if he's being genuine or he's just playing with the characters. Like, is he manipulating his mom, or does he genuinely wanted to help her and then was surprised that she wanted to give him the rings, and then was like two birds, one stone kind of situation where he's happy because he got away with making his mom happy and getting the rings for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of hard to figure out if it was all, like, duping his mom was all part of the plan because he knew she was going to give him the rings, or if it was just an added benefit for him. And, like, the whole, why does Felix want it so bad? Why is he so interested in the story of the twin rings? Like, does it have something to do with the fact that him and Adrian are basically twins? Or, like, there's just a whole mystery surrounding Felix, and I love it. My favorite episode.
I wonder if there's gonna be something like a huge plot twist and Adrian and Felix are actually twins and they're
oh my god,
like anyone from those two has like believed that their mother and father were their parents, but they're actually not, or something. I wonder if they might move in that direction.
I do feel that there's a huge twist coming. I don't know if it's that one, but I do feel like they're setting up the stage for something really big, and like a big kind of reveal in and Adrian. Like, I just like, there has to be a reason they look so. It's like there's a reason. I remember when the trailer came out. And people were like, oh, he looks just like Adrian, lazy, that's so lazy, blah, blah, blah. They run out of budget. I'm like,
maybe there's some background to it.
How about you actually wait for the episode? Because maybe there's a freaking reason that they look the same. And, I mean, there was, because Emily notes it like, oh, they look just like twins. Remember when they tricked us when they were young? And Gabriel is very angry. He's like, I won't be tricked a second time. Like, I feel like there's some background to this whole look-alike thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with lack of budget or like saving time on modeling. Like, there's an actual reason people were so quick to judge, and then they were like, oh, so they are supposed to be twins. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, they're supposed to be twins.
Yeah.
So how about you please wait before you enact judgment without having all the information, But yeah, I mean, I also feel that there has to be a reason they're twins. A very important reason.
That's kind of unrelated to that whole being twins or not topic, but I was actually surprised that the character of Felix actually got introduced in the series, because that's what we call the Adrian version of the PV. And I don't know if they came up with this before they started the whole series. Like, I don't know, they kind of start writing seasons in advance so far. Like, even if the fandom says we want Felix, it might be that they had planned it long ago. So I wonder. I wonder at what point it came up.
No, I can definitely confirm Felix has always been part of it.
Yeah.
Like, maybe when the P didn't work out, Thomas still found a way to repurpose the character, because at the end of the day, even if he didn't work out with Marinette because of the chemistry, he was his character, so obviously he was attached to him in some way. I'm guessing. So maybe when the PV did not
make sense,
and they started making, because in the PV, like, there was no Master Fu, there was no boxes, like there were just two Miraculous and that's it. So when the whole show was being developed, like the whole like new plotline and stuff, I think it's pretty clear that Felix was repurposed to be part of the main plot line. Now that it was fixed and changed and stuff, like, it's not uncommon for creators to, like, you know what, I'm going to grab this old character I had and going to reuse him and just change the story.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like, it's not fan service or anything. Like, I'm pretty sure Felix is very important, and fan service is not meant to be that important.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, no, Felix
because
has to have been part of it, because we have seen like the whole ring thing, like that twin ring thing. We have seen it since season 2, so it was definitely meant to be. It's not fan service. Like Thomas planned to have Felix in the show like a long time ago.
Yeah,
he's very important, I think. So yeah, I think like the moment they had to repurpose the show, he found the way to add him in as one of a very important character in future seasons, because they've had the whole, like, I know there might have been changes and stuff like during production because of this reason or the other, but I think Thomas has had the whole thing planned from the very beginning, like from the beginning to the ending, like how he wanted to. So obviously a character as big as Felix, who is connected to such a big plot, which is, you know, Emily's family, is not a random addition just to make fans of the PB Felix happy, because he doesn't look anything like the PB Felix except for the wardrobe. So so it's obvious that he's been there for a long time, because Thomas has had the ending planned for a long time. Like, obviously there may have been some changes because of executive decisions or production issues, but I think his general plotline has kept itself mostly intact. So yeah, he's had this plan for a long time. So it's not just, I wonder what I was going to talk about. No, like, he has all this plan. Like, season 4 is completely finished writing. Like, I can tell you that is completely finished. It's not like they're out of ideas, because they already know where they're going. I mean, if you have a plot line, you have to have an idea of where you're going. So
that's true.
And they're writing season 5 now. So yeah, they already know where they're going with the Felix character. I mean, again, there may be some changes from the original idea, but that's that direction they're going. Like, even in Time Tagger, there's a huge hint to the future, to something that happens in the future, which is, by the way, you're not a hawk moth.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a hawk moth. Like, it's someone else, and you're like, wait, what? Okay, so they already have that thing.
Yeah, that's true. Because you can't write about the future if you don't know what is going to happen. So that's.
And I mean,
makes sense,
I know the Kenwar says like stuff is not written in stone, but I think it's more symbolic than actual fact. Like, maybe some stuff is gonna change and some is not. And I think the future Hawkmoth is one of the things that will not change. Like, they've been hinting at it it was a really big thing. And I mean, this is my personal perception. I have no idea. But like, the fact that they said, there's a future Hawkmoth, it's not you. And then at the very end of the episode, you see Lila with Nino's brother. I think it was pretty telltale. I don't know if they're hinting at Lila being the future Hawkmoth, because now she works with Gabriel. So there's a connection between them. And I think, on the fandom, I've seen two options. Either people think it's going to be Felix, the future Hawkmoth, or it's going to be Lila. I personally think it may be Lila because of the hints in Time Tagger. Like, when the episode ends, they focus a lot on Lila and Nino's brother, who is the future Time Tagger. So I'm like, was this on purpose? So I think they would not be able to write any time travel episode without knowing where they're going first.
Yeah. So we have to pay attention to all the time traveling episodes and put these hints together, actually, to make more theories about future seasons.
Yeah, because, Felix is a very... I can imagine Felix being Hawkmoth because he's very clever and he's very manipulative, just like Gabriel. So I can see him being Hawkmoth. But I also can see Lila being Hawkmoth because she's close to Gabriel constantly. And, again, she was hinted at in Time Tagger. I think both are very strong contestants to, so who's future Hawkmoth? But I'm leaning towards Lila because of the hints. Because we don't know. We have seen one episode, and he's cunning but we don't know if he actually wants the peacock yet. We have to know more about him and his intentions and what he wants to accomplish, like his agenda. And we don't know that yet. We don't know what he wants.
But I was just thinking, maybe if Lila wasn't Hawkmoth in the future, if there's the possibility of Felix being Hawkmoth instead, but we still want to think that Leela has an important role in the future as well as a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And what if she is Mayura in the future, or
another point.
character with another miraculous that turns to the evil side that works with Hawkmoth. So that can still all be. I think season 3 is really good at laying out possibilities for future seasons without restricting the future seasons so much, because just because something was shown or hinted at, we can't exactly tell that this is going to happen, but we wonder about it, but we can't tell for sure. And I like this a lot about this season, because there's so much that is possible to happen, and it's really interesting to make theories about this.
Yeah, because it opens a lot of doors, and I mean, I think that was the whole point of season 3. Like, I think if I were to describe the world, it will be changed, because everything changes by the end of season 3. You cannot tell that the characters are in the same place as they were at the end of season 2, because they're not. Plus, you also have the whole thing about Hawkmoth knowing who Ladybug's allies are now. So that's an added plot point that they may have to address in season 4. Like, if she's going to keep using them, she has to have a very good excuse to use it. Because she herself said, like, oh, well, now that I've discovered you, that Hawkmoth discovered you, like, I cannot use you anymore. Like, was very clear about this. So how is she going to do it in season 4? Is she going to choose new people, or is she going to choose the first one and just risk it? Like,
or just give them
to see. It'll be interesting to see what choice Marina does, because again, this ties in with the whole Guardian stuff that I introduced. Like, I feel at the beginning, Marina just did everything Food told her to do. But I think that now that she's the sole guardian of the box, she may take some liberties, maybe. So maybe she will just keep choosing the same people, but completely rule out Chloe, because Chloe already demonstrated that she doesn't like Ladybug anymore. So there's nothing stopping Chloe from using the Miraculous for bad, like for bad stuff. Because, like, their relationship is completely broken.
I could imagine Marinette not using the same Miraculouses for the same people, but maybe, like, trusting the same people because she knows they can work well with her, but give them different Miraculouses. So it's not so obvious.
It could be, but also, what was the episode she said that? There was an episode where Tiki told her, like, just choose all of them. And I think it was Heroes Day. And Marina was like, no, because I don't have time to like everything to everyone. So I think that she may avoid exchanging Miraculous because she doesn't have time to explain and let them like get the ropes. So that's why I'm like, will she choose new people, or would she just choose the same ones and risk it? Like,
that's a good point.
Try to protect them from Hawk.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the fact that he used Chloe as Miracle Queen already is a very clear demonstration that Marinette's fears were real, and like Hawkmoth ended up using your family to make you turn against me. I mean, he succeeded because he knew exactly how to manipulate Chloe, because he knew her family from head to toe. So it will be interesting to see what decision Marinette takes with the whole giving out Miraculous part.
And it's also especially because we have now more Miraculouses, right? Because like the ones that were in Feast or in the Sentimonster, they're back. And so there are way more options now to choose from.
Yeah, but she doesn't have those boxes. And I think after what Pooh did, I like, if I was a guardian that was eaten by a freaking Sentimonster because one of my guardians was dumb, I would be like, you know what? Nobody's getting a box anymore. So I think the actual guardians will not allow Marinette to use another box until she gains their trust, or, you know, like right now I think her options are limited to the box she has, and it's not open because the other ones are all the way to Tivet. Like, and I mean, you can argue that she can use the horse to transport her, but I think it's too much of a hassle, and she may just go to what. Plus, there's no one to tell her what the other Miraculous does. Like there's no Master Fu.
Oh, okay.
And I remember that Thomas showed a new character named Suhan in the Italian comic, who looks like he has a guardian wardrobe. I don't know if maybe he's a guardian and he showed a sketch of Suhan fighting with Cadno and Ladybug. So I don't know if he was going to be bad or he's going to be good. Like, I think if this character is angry at Fu or whatever happened, he may not let Marinette touch the other boxes.
It's a good thing you clear this up, because I thought there were actually a few Miraculouses that were missing from the box that is in Paris. So
there's only 2 of them missing.
I don't know. For some reason, I thought there were some missing in the box, but
no, they're just 2 of them, which is the moth and the peacock. Also,
no,
like
good that we talk about this.
Yeah, like touching upon my topic of, well, she could just use a horse to go to the temple. I was thinking, well, no, she can't, because to be able to transport yourself, you need to know the exact location of the place you're transporting to. Because when she tells Pegasus to go grab her grandfather's old cassette player, she's like, go here, and she shows him a map. So if the user of the horse doesn't know where he's going, then you cannot visit that place. So if Marinette doesn't know where then she cannot actually visit it unless she looked in, because it was all over. So I guess that will be the only fail-safe I can say. But yeah, I still think that Suhan or any other Guardian character may not let Marinette touch the boxes after what Fu did. I think they're going to be very paranoid.
Well, hopefully they remember what happened, because we never know.
I think they may remember.
They
what
lose their memories as well.
If I was in their place, I would remember if a freaking monster ate me. So yeah. Plus, I think like the whole Guardian Order was supposed to be super secret, but now the whole world knows they exist.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think they're going to be very mad.
Some angry monks coming up.
Yeah, because
that's gonna be interesting.
Remember Alia said like, oh, with the episode of Feast, like we found out that no one knew about this order. That like they've been operating in secret all this time, and Alia has been the first person to kind of figure it out. So like the moment the monks find out that their location and everything has been revealed on TV, which didn't exist back then but exists now, I think they're going to be super mad.
That's true.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see where they take that.
I think Alia will investigate more on this because she always kind of figures out something.
Yeah,
even if you think it's impossible. Even if you think it's impossible for her to figure out the details, she still somehow figures things out.
Yeah, she connects the dots. Like the only reason she cannot connect all the dots is because she's missing information. But the moment she gets more information, I think she's going to be able to figure out a lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, she figured Nino out, like, because of the way he was speaking.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, Marinette has been super careful around her because of this. But I think, like, if there's anyone that may guess her identity, it's Alia.
Yeah.
I feel that she's going to connect something.
I think so, too.
Because she's been so close. Like, I don't remember which episode it was that she was like, where? Like, she was being very suspicious on the phone. Where did you disappear to, Marinette? Yeah. Marinette, like, I don't remember which episode it was, but I think she's been the closest one to figuring it out. I mean, Cat has played with it in Word. But at the end, we find out that he was like, "Oh, I thought that Marinette was just a big fan of us, just like Alia." And I'm like, "Oh, Cadno, you're so dumb." So yeah, I think Alia is the one that has come the closest to guessing her identity.
I mean, didn't she? Wasn't it in season 1 where she almost like assumed that Adrian was Cat Noir? I mean, she basically found out about it, but. Then Marinette was like, no, that can't be. Yeah, well, Marinette said it because she didn't want to think they were the same person. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, hey, if you add a black mask and a black suit, you can kind of think that Adrian is Cat Noir. Yeah. Like, she was, she was so close. Yeah. So we already addressed the 3 key episodes that we chose from the whole season. That is Feast, Ladybug, and Felix. Do you have anything to add to those 3 before we talk a bit about the finale?
Yeah, I think if I could add a 4th episode, I think it would be Cat Blanc. Like, I know it was mostly an angst fest and, you know, all that stuff. But I think one of the Cat Blanc gave to the plot, this is why Adrian and Marinette cannot be together. Like, as long as Gabriel is Hogmoth, they cannot be together because it's always meant to end up in disaster. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, we also know that Adrian is going, like, the moment he finds out that Marinette is Ladybug, he's going to accept her completely. Like, because, I mean, he's willing to love her, she accepts her for who she is with all her mistakes and, you know, curiosities. And so we know that they are able to be a very, very nice, healthy couple because they support each other and blah, blah, blah. But as long as Gabriel is Hogmoth, they can never, because he's always going, like, he's willing to use his own son to get to the Miraculous. Like, he has, like, no qualms using him.
To be honest, I wouldn't have thought that Hogmoth would go that far. Like, that episode that episode showed us so much that we were expecting or waiting for, to be honest. But then we saw why it's not a good idea that this is happening now. For example, the relationship between Marinette and Adrian, and also them finding out the different identities. I mean, the fandom is waiting for all this to happen. But this episode showed us why it's too early for this all to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the key word, early. Because I think what Cadnor said in Time Tiger is important. Like, not everything is set in stone. So it also depends on what point in time you are having this event happen. So maybe, like, have it happen right now, it's too early, and because that's where Gabriel is the most desperate. Like, he's willing to do whatever he needs to get the Miraculous, including sacrificing his own assistant. So he's in a point in time where he's very desperate to get the jewels. So he's going to do anything he needs to do. But I think in another point in time, it could work out. Like, maybe. A huge maybe. Because maybe it ends up in disaster. Maybe a different disaster. But it also ends up in disaster. But it also depends the Gabriel, like, what's going on with Gabriel at the time, like how desperate he is, if he's being distracted by something else, or if he's kind of giving up on everything. Like, you know, it depends a lot on Gabriel's mood and attitude at whatever point it happens. Like, finding out, because also the problem was that he found out they were Cadnor and Ladybug. If Adrian had not transformed in front of him, then things would have just, you know, like, if you were to follow Cat Blanc, it was going without having Gabriel find out about Adrian, would just have been Marinette being acclimatized and Cadnor fighting her over and over and over again without being able to purify her because there's no Ladybug. But if there's one thing Cat Blanc did show us, although it's not ideal, Cadnor can get rid of the Akumas, but he has to kill the butterfly.
Yeah.
So I think that if he managed to defeat Princess Verity, or whatever Hogmoth was going to call her, he was going to have to kill the butterfly. And he won, because Marinette is very, very talented. So she, like, the reason Gabriel is so set on acclimatizing Marinette is because he knows she's very talented and clever and stuff, and she's probably going to be one of his best Akumas. Like, he knows this. Like, in a way that's kind of nice, because it means that he has Marinette in a very high standard. Like, he respects because, well, everyone loves her and she's very talented. She has won some contests. She was with Jagged Stone. Like, he has Marinette on a very high pedestal. That's why he wants to acclimatize her so bad, to the point he wants to make his son miserable by forcing him to like,
whatever works,
crumble. But anyway, if he had not found out, like, the whole thing would have ended. Maybe it would have been more bitter. Maybe he would have freed Marinette and he would have killed the butterfly. But someone would have found out. Probably Marinette would have found out he was Cadnor and blah blah. Like, you can never until it happens. Like, it can go in such different ways. But yeah, I think Cat Blanc was a huge example of why it's too early to have them be a couple, because they're very, inexperienced. So Adrian was very irresponsible by transforming in broad daylight like that. Like, because his love for Marinette blinded him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's too early for them to be a couple because they're too immature still. Like, they would do anything to protect each other, and that's the problem precisely. They're willing to reveal their identities. They're willing to risk their identities to save each other, and that's not supposed to happen. That's why Fu and Tiki and Plague are like, that's why you're not supposed to know each other's identity, because you're going to do stupid things to protect each other as civilians. It's very they don't know. This is the exact reason, because you killed everyone and killed the moon.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly. So that's exactly what. But yeah, I think Cat Blanc was important. This whole episode is the reason it cannot happen, and it also solves the puzzle of what would happen if Gabriel found out.
Mm-hmm.
In Godzilla, he was afraid, not that desperate yet. So he was afraid that Adrian was Cat Noir because, he was putting him in danger all that time. Now, in season 3, he's way more desperate because, 1, his wife is still in coma, and 2, his assistant is kind of dying and going through the same road as his wife. So he's losing 2 of the most important people. So he's way more desperate and willing to use his son to get the Miraculous and fix everything. Because he seems to believe that the moment he enacts his wish, everything will be fixed. Maybe Adrian will forget everything, or maybe he will forgive him. Like, he's assuming that Adrian will forgive him if he ever finds out about who he is. So he's assuming many things. So yeah, maybe at that point in time, he's just like, you know what? I'm going to make my wish, and it's going to work out. I will fix everything. Adrian will forgive me. Everything will work out. Like, he's convinced that that's the solution to everything. So yeah, that's why in Cat Blanc he acted differently to Godzilla, because his level of desperation is very different.
That's a good point.
So it will be interesting to see if this gets addressed again in season 4 or season 5, because they are saying that Adrian is endgame and all that stuff. So it will be interesting to see if they actually make them a couple and how Gable will react to it.
And whether they will be a couple before everything is revealed or resolved,
like before
or afterwards, like in an epilogue or something.
Like, will they be a couple before defeating Hawkmoth or until he is defeated? Because we know that there's going to be another Hawkmoth, so they're never going to get a chance to rest, and that's kind of sad, actually. but yeah, it will be interesting to see if they will make them a couple before the Hawkmoth reveal or after the Hawkmoth reveal.
Or depending on which Hawkmoth. I mean, if
too.
Gabriel isn't evil anymore, then the possibility might be there that they actually get together before the final Hawkmoth is defeated.
Yeah.
But I think not as long as Gabriel is Hawkmoth.
Yeah,
at least not while he's as desperate as we've seen in season 3. So yeah, especially after Cat Blanc or Chat Blanc, the finale was kind of painful for all Adrenet shippers.
It was painful for everyone.
Because we saw what we could have and then realized we can't have it because it's too early. And then in the final 2 episodes, we see how Adrenet... Oh, no, not Adrenet, but Adrian and Kagami and Marinette and Luca get more close to each other, respectively. And I think that's a really hard contrast when we compare the episodes, especially if you've stuck to the order and watched the final 2 episodes at the end after Chat Blanc. And I think that was quite hard to watch as an Adrenet shipper.
That's why I told people on Miraculous Mexico, people will ask me, like, Feri, do you recommend we watch the finale after Cat Blanc and Felix? And I'm like, yes, definitely. And they were like, why? And I'm like, because it makes the finale more painful.
Yeah.
And they didn't get it until... and I was like, the impact will be bigger after you see Cat Blanc. And that was the reason, because in Cat Blanc, we had a what-if, a scenario of what if they knew each other. Like, we saw that they will be the perfect couple. Like, they will work so well together. They love each other so much. So we know that it can work out. But the fact that in the finale we see it not work out and have Marin to go to Luca and Adrian to Kagami makes it even more painful, because you know that they would have been a great couple otherwise if they had been upfront about it. So yeah, it's more painful after that. Like, this finale was very bittersweet for a lot of people. Like, I understand why a lot didn't like it, because the whole finale is about change, and it changes many things. It changes the fact that it changes the shipping, the different couples. It changes the fact that Chloe will not be allowed to be Queen Bee anymore because her heart has changed and she's not willing to forgive. So she will never be as a hero. So it's a lot of changes that some people are not willing to accept, even though, that's the whole topic. Like, the whole letter with Fu was about change. So it's kind of, ironic that a lot of people are, like, denying the existence of the finale because they don't like change.
But that's often the point. I mean, a lot of people don't like change.
Yeah, that's the point. But I can understand why some people may not have liked some of these changes, and that's why they don't like the finale. I mean, I respect that a lot. But that was the whole point. Like, season 3 was meant to, like, end up with a lot of changes that are going to make season 4 way more interesting in many regards, like where Marin is taking her guard, where the couples are going, what will happen when they eventually break up, because Adrenaline is endgame, so they have to break up at some point. Like, what will happen after they break up, why will they break up, that kind of stuff. So I think it will make season 4 very spicy, there's
a lot of potential.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential in all the Pandora box that they open, because now that Chloe is not Queen Bee, now we have to get introduced to a new bee.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
Interesting. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how Marinette chooses this person and why, and what's their dynamic like.
That's a good thought.
So yeah,
good point. I didn't really think of a new character, or maybe an existing character that hasn't had another Miraculous that getting the bee Miraculous.
Yeah,
that's good. A good thought, actually, because that's also something that we don't know yet.
We have only seen it once with Adrian and Luca with this name Miraculous. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how different the dynamic is with the new bee. I'm actually very excited to see the new bee.
I wonder if it's gonna be a new character or someone we already know, or at least have seen in the background. Maybe that might be interesting.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I think it's going to be. Well, they kind of showed an image, like, it was blurred, of course, but they did show an image of the bee, and we can tell that it's a blonde character. And I think we can safely rule out Chloe, because there's no freaking way Marin is choosing her again. But I think it may be a new character, because I don't remember any other blonde character besides Chloe and what's her name?
Aurore?
Aurore?
Oh.
Audrey? No, Aurore.
No, not Audrey was the mother.
Aurore. Yeah. No, Aurore. Like the but I don't think they may choose Aurore, because she's not like a main character. Like, she's kind of a tertiary character in a way. So I don't know if they may. I mean, they may use her, but I think it's going to be a new character.
Yeah, that's also an interesting thing to look forward to. And yeah, but when I saw that Chloe decided to work with Hawkmoth in the final or not the final episode, but it was in both final episodes actually. And when I saw that, I was like, oh no, I knew that would happen. I knew Chloe wasn't loyal to the good side, to the heroes. I knew that she would turn to the side that has the most benefits for her.
I mean, it's been hinted at since season 2. So when people were surprised and were like, "Oh no, they tried her development," I'm like, "What development? She's always been selfish."
Yeah.
Like, even as Queen Bee, she's been selfish. Like, she only saved people to be admired. So there was no development leading to a redemption. Like there was none. Like if people actually watch the episodes with like with a close eye, you can tell that there was never any hint to a redemption.
Yeah.
She had one weak scene, but that was about it. And the only reason, like, there's no motivation for Chloe to change, because thanks to Marinette, Chloe now gets along really well with her mom, which was the only thing she wanted. Like, the only thing she cares about is being accepted by her mom. And thanks to Marinette, her mom now loves her. So there's absolutely no motivation for Chloe to change her ways, because in her head, she's not wrong.
Yeah.
So the only reason she wanted to be Queen Bee was because it was a status, like something that gave her status and made her be admired and stuff like that. So if you think there was always a selfish motivation to be Queen Bee, it's not because she cared about saving people.
Yeah, so I really hope she doesn't get her hands on Be Miraculous anymore.
Hope not.
I mean, it's obvious that Marinette won't choose her anymore, but I mean, she wasn't chosen in the first place anyway, so we don't know where the Miraculous lands. So
but, like,
I hope she doesn't get her hands on it anymore.
No, I don't think she will. But yeah, like, since season 2 has been like hinted, because which character said it? I think it was Marinette herself. Like, I cannot give you the Miraculous because now Hogmother knows who you are, and blah blah blah.
Yeah. And
then it was like completely proven in Miraculous, where Hogmother is like, Chloe is an interesting person. I'm pretty sure she will change sides. Like, that was super foreshadowing.
Yeah. And
people still ignore. Like, people were still surprised that it happened, even though Hogmother like let us know in Miraculous that he was going to accomplish changing Chloe's side. And that's the only reason. Like, the only reason he made the stupid cape was to make them angry, to acclimatize them, to be able to make Chloe sufficiently angry at a Ladybug that he was going to join him. So, like, it was completely planned. From the design of the cape, meant to make Audrey and Andre fight, to the fact that Natalie was, like, destroying his B signal. So it was all planned. Like, he knew that Chloe was going to do that, because he has known Chloe since he was a child, and he knows that she's selfish. So there was nothing strong enough to be able to convince Chloe to be good. Because he said, like, oh, like, Ladybug abandoned you and stuff. Like, are you going to let it pass? And she's like, no, I'm not going to let it pass. Like, she's going to regret it. Like, she completely gave up on Ladybug, and there was absolutely no motivation to keep her from going. So, yeah.
I think it's interesting to have a character that isn't actually redeemed, because there are so many shows where the evil, or at least the mean characters, get a redemption, but I think it's good that it's not that way in that show, because firstly, it would be quite lame. And second of all, it's good to see that there are characters that aren't really able to change because of their personality.
Very
and
close.
You can't just...
It's very close to real life.
Yeah. You can't just change completely, like, 360 degrees or something. So
yeah, you cannot.
It's quite realistic to have a character that is expected to be redeemed, but it's not actually. Like,
exactly.
the character is not really turning good 100%.
Yeah, honestly, it was a relief that she was not redeemed, because I was like, oh, no, not this cliche again of the bully turned good.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad she was not redeemed, because Chloe is such an interesting character just as she is, because she's very versatile. Like, she can be really mean, or she can be really nice to her parents, or to Sabrina, or to other people, like, depending on the situation. And I think that makes her character way more interesting, and has more potential to have more episodes, like, where she gets to be different type of person. Like, because if she was just redeemed, like, oh, she's just another goody two-shoes, like Alia and Nino and stuff, and why do people want another Alia, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's
already
great
have one.
that they kept... Yeah, it's great that they kept Chloe, because it makes the character more interesting, and the whole relationship between the characters more interesting. Because, like, we need to have more than one antagonic character. Now we have Hogmoth, we have Natalie, we have Lila, we have Felix, And it's nice to have Chloe be like a neutral party between the two. Like sometimes she's nice, sometimes she isn't. So I think it's great that they kept her on a neutral ground because, you know, you can write so many stories with someone that is versatile like she is.
She's a very complex character as well. Because
exactly.
I mean, most of the characters are quite complex now that we have 3 seasons of development for the different characters.
Yeah.
Because in other shows, maybe there are characters that always stay the same. But in this show, somehow every single character that has a meaning to the plot, like that is not necessarily a main character, but at least a often recurring side character, every one of them has at least a bit of character development. And I think that's really great to have.
Yeah, I agree. Like, people think that the only type of character development is something towards like a positive change, but you can also have character development that is negative.
Yeah.
So I think Chloe's was negative, but it's still development. She went from bad to worse. So it still changes her character. It changes how she gets along with Ladybug. Like, it changes the whole dynamic. So it's definitely development. It's just not the development some of her apologists wanted, which is fine if they didn't like it. Like, that's their taste. But it is development, no matter how much they want to deny. Yeah. It is development. It just goes to the.
I mean, you need that sometimes, because otherwise it would be just the same all the time.
Exactly, and I'm glad that she was not made good, because we have too many good characters. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to what they make of that in season 4, because I mean, they set the tone in season 3 for the next seasons, and when I think of it, when you compare season 1 to season 3, for example, it kind of went from happy and light kid show or family show to quite dark, and I didn't really expect a family show to be that dark or complex. And it's kind of refreshing, because usually when you watch family shows or shows that are running on Disney or something or similar channels, you wouldn't think they would become that complex and complicated in plot-wise. But it's kind of refreshing to have something to think about when you watch the show. So
yeah,
it's gotten really dark from season 1 to season 3.
I really appreciate it.
And it's already it's also very well done, because I don't think it's really easy to write a storyline and plot that kind of blends into each other so well. I mean, when you watch that development from season 1 to the end of season 3, and so much has been happening during that time, and it still blends into each other very nicely, even though somehow the show went from very light, how do I say it, like light to watch and easy to watch, to very complicated, and you have to think about things. So I think it's really interesting to have a show like that. And props to the writers, as always.
Yeah, I think I'm so glad that he adopted a different tone, because it makes me look forward to so much.
And also something that I think I mentioned in my review of season 2, back then, it was that I appreciated that I think most of the episodes, or even all of the episodes, were kind of developing the series into a certain direction, and none of the episodes were filler episodes. And I think season 3 was even stronger in that regard, because you really had something in each episode, whether it was plot development, whether it was character development, or something new that came up, a new character or something. So there wasn't really an episode where you thought, okay, that can be thrown aside and that wasn't necessary, but each episode had a little something, even though it was sometimes just at the end or just a little hint at something. But every episode had a meaning to the whole plot and to the whole story.
Yeah, I some people were like, "Oh, it's just a filler." It's Stormy.
They didn't watch it closely enough.
Yeah, and that episode was one of the ones that people were like, "Oh, it's just a filler," and I'm like, it still gave us insight. Yeah, it still gave us insight to how like a lot of the characters felt. Like we knew for sure that Adrian thinks that Marinette likes Luca, and that's why he brushed off the whole letter thing. Like he was so close. He was so freaking close, but he brushed it off. Because, oh no, she likes Luca. And I'm like, and then we found out how Natalie feels about everyone and, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do think that even though, like, Stormy may not have had a huge plot introduction, it did what the characters feel like, which in turn explains why they act a certain way later on.
That's true. Because I remember in other shows that have a lot of episodes, it's quite dangerous, so to say, for the show to have a lot of filler episodes where you're like, okay, I don't really have to watch this episode to understand the whole season or the whole series. But I don't really feel that way in Miraculous because, especially season 3, as I said, had so much to offer. And I think, I don't know, whenever I watched another episode and a new one and just the latest one that came out, I felt like this episode was even better than the one I watched before. And it really didn't disappoint me in any case. Like, I think it's gonna get better in season 4 and 5 even.
Yeah,
I hope I don't set my expectations too high, but I think it's safe to say that it won't get more boring or worse, but
I think it will be
in turn it will be more it will be more intriguing and maybe more complex even because season 3 sets the tone for so many possibilities and new topics, exactly, and there's so much stuff that can still happen, so I'm really looking forward to the upcoming seasons.
Yeah, I'm super excited, especially because it's going to deal with Guardian Marinette, and that's probably one of my favorite topics ever since season 2. So I think I'm going to love it. Plus, more of Felix, because I very much doubt that's the last time we're going to see him. Because Gabriel was super angry at the end. So it's very obvious that we're going to see Felix again. So it'll be interesting to see what else we learn about the Graham Devanili and aggressive family.
And also, one last thing that I want to address here in this podcast before we wrap up things was that in the final episode, we saw a cliffhanger, which is that Gabriel somehow repaired the Peacock Miraculous.
Oh, yeah,
so
he did.
That was quite some way to end the season. Because you thought the episode was done, and then there was still the cliffhanger.
Then, surprise!
And then, oops, okay, this isn't done yet. Something happening. So,
and which also opens another possibility. Like, is Natalie going to get better? Will she still get to use it? Will Hawkmoth use it? Like, what's going to happen with that plot point? Like, what's going to happen with Natalie? And now that it's not broken and there's absolutely no restriction to using it now, like, what's going to happen to Taurus? Because now he has unlimited Santi monsters and Akumas to send out. So it's going to be another point that season 4 may touch upon that I think is very interesting.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe we get to see more of, or not maybe, I think we definitely get to see more of Mayura now that the Miraculous is repaired. And,
I hope so.
Well, who knows if Hawkmoth is going to be the main villain in the upcoming season, or maybe it's going to be Mayura or someone else.
I think it's still going to be Hawkmoth, but
who knows?
I don't know. Yeah.
And so many things to look forward to, actually.
Yeah.
Even I'm a bit sad because I think, or did they say that there are just going to be 5 seasons and not a season 6? Is that correct?
So far they've only confirmed season 4 and season 5.
So if we assume that season 5 is the last one. So it's kind of sad to think that we have more than half of the seasons now.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But I think, oh well. I also want to know what it's gonna happen, so it's kind of also some reward in some regard.
2020 is going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to see how the whole story is going to end. And how, like, I know that Thomas said in Italy that he's planning comics dealing with some of the topics. So I hope that they happen, because I think after season 5 ends, I'm going to be needing more information still. Like, I'm
prequel.
It's going to be bittersweet. It's going to be bittersweet. There won't be any more episodes, but I'm happy that they're planning to have more post-show material to consume. Very excited for season 4.
So we see season 3 has a lot of stuff we had to talk about, and I could have talked more about it, I think, if we had addressed the detailed episode, like every single episode. I think we could talk hours about this, but I think we pretty much wrapped up the most important aspects of the season and addressed quite interesting points, actually. And thank you so much for joining me in this podcast, Feri, and for your input and your thoughts. And I was quite enjoying this conversation because it was so like deep and went into detail so much. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And for the listeners out there, we hope you enjoyed this podcast, and feel free to comment your opinions below in the comments, and we'd like to continue the conversation down below. If you like the podcast, please give it a like, and as always, if you want to be up to date for further podcasts or maybe future reviews of Miraculous seasons or episodes, whatever comes up, please feel free to subscribe and also hit the notification bell in case you want to be notified for any upcoming podcasts. So then, bye for now, and see you soon. Hear you soon. And bye, Feri.
Bye.